So at this point, we've got the case pretty much taken apart as much as somebody can with a screwdriver. Gotten all the major little bits removed. Going to take off this fan and the feet. And I'll break out the drill and I'll drill out a couple of rivets so I can get the top taken apart. Just got to get the case prepped for powder coat. It's a nice 140 millimeter fan, I think. I used to not think that much of Lian Li fans, but then when you start trying to find a fan that's about as quiet, that'll last as long, and push some air, you know, for a case fan, they're good. I don't see them using, you know, for liquid cooling, of course. And push out these little buttons for the feet. It's relatively easy to take cases apart with just a screwdriver and, you know, some patience. Take the time to look at it closely and remember how everything goes. And this is a real simple case to do. I've already taken off the sides here. The little clips that hold the optical drives, those just sprung right off. And show you a little. These are pretty neat. There's a rubber pad there so it won't vibrate. Got two metal pins, little black plastic body, and it appears that the whole thing is held in pretty much by friction. It looks like you can just take it apart, which would be neat because it's got to get powder coated. A lot of little bitty parts, itsy parts. Let's see, we'd have to break out the drill to go any further. It's no big deal. That's why it's always good to have some flat-headed rivets around, because you never know when you might have to replace one. It's an appropriate size drill bit. These rivets will all be 1/8 inch, so all you need to do to get them out is have an 1/8 inch drill bit. Now when you're doing drilling, just make sure you're not laying any parts of the case that you don't want to get scratched on any metal. You know, you got to be careful. Okay. These are the little brackets that guide the rails. These also keep the top from coming off. Don't want your finger underneath the drill bit when you're doing this stuff, kids. You only do that once, if you're lucky, and then you'll remember and you'll go, oh yeah, that hurt. Now the rivets that go in these holes, not the kind you can get at Home Depot or Lowe's. Get these right up now. And I can get them free. Just pull the top off. Again, another thing you got to worry about when you're putting everything back together is anything that's going to drag or rub on anything. Now this will just go to the side like all the other parts that are done. But now we basically got, except for the switches, LEDs, which I'll take out in just a second, we're down to a bare case. And this is what I mean by that. Putting your work on any metal joints. Which is also why you got to have all your screws out of the way, because you go like this and a little black screw goes across the room. You're going to be online to McMaster's looking for that little screw pretty soon. The rest of this comes apart real simple. These little rails here, okay, get over here. so you guys can see a little better. I'm only standing right in front of the camera lower. Again, more tiny black screws to lose. Try to remember the lengths and the sizes and shapes of these. If you haven't done a whole bunch of this like I have, this can get confusing. You'll be like, oh, wow, where did that go? But stuff like this gets powder coated so it'll look uniform. The whole chassis, at this point, I would be comfortable powder coating the whole chassis except for that power supply rail at the bottom, because it's going to look neater. When you powder coat something without completely taking it apart, you don't get any bright rivets, obviously, and you don't get any of the seams really showing because they all fill in just a little bit. It gives it a more uniform look. So, at this point, the case is about ready for powder coat. All the little clips, all the little pieces, everything could be brought over there. Take out these switches, you don't want to break them. You gotta be careful doing this stuff. When you do these things, remember these little plastic parts do not take a lot of force to mess with. And it helps if you have the right tools to poke them out. I'm going to wait and do that. We don't need that for the vid here. These will be poked out in just a moment. Now this is smart. This is pretty much what could go to powder coat. And then you get a really nice looking case because it would all be whatever color. This could be red, you know, whatever color you want. Black. This one's going to be black. Matte black. I think it's a really nice case. I like the design of it. It's got rails across the top that make it stiff so you don't have to worry. Take off the top, it's not going to all fall apart. Drill out these 4 rivets for the power supply, because this has got to go too. All you need is just to get the cap head of the rivet off. You can poke the rest out later, and then the part will come right off. And what I was removing here is just these little rubber coated bits. Now, I could probably pull these rubbers off and re-adhere them, which I may do, or I could just spray these black with spray paint, since they don't get a lot of action. All the wear and tear is on this rubber surface. Probably going to powder coat them, so I'll probably peel this off. Yeah, it's on there with a kind of a rubber cement, so I can just hit that up with some 777 3M adhesive. I can get all that off. You can get it off pretty much by rolling it off with your fingers, but you can get the rest of it off with some lighter fluid or naphtha. Take it right off. You can roll almost all this kind of adhesive right off, so you don't necessarily have to have a whole bunch of chemicals or a lot of special tools to do this stuff. Just a drill bit, screwdriver. You can take your case completely apart. If you have a local powder coater, you can work out a deal with them. Sometimes for small stuff like this, they're very cheap. Depends on how much work you give them. Yeah, I don't want to bore you with all these little details, but this is kind of what you have to do if you want to really get a pro-looking case modded. You've got to take it apart. You've got to make sure that all the parts are clean and ready for powder coat, and that you've done everything that you're going to do before powder coat. You want to do all your cutting, any modifications, anything that's going to be done, do it now, and then powder coat. That's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys.